Everyone, thank you. This is Basi Mwanabroth, and I'm here to take you on how to illustrate the legacy boot process within the BIOS computer system under the procedure of the BIOS. Then we shall also look at the master boot recorder, that is the MBR, then the bootloader. But we also have the kernel, and lastly the operating system. That will be our guide. Firstly, as I'm starting, I will start with the BIOS, as it has also been suggested. The BIOS is the basic input and output system within a computer. And first of all, before going very far, we know before going or leading to the starting of the computers, the question suggests, because it is about the booting legacy. The booting refers to the starting of the computer, and we have different types of booting. We have the warm booting plus the cold booting. Under the cold booting, it's the total starting of the computer that has totally been off. And then warm booting is starting of the computer that has just been turned off. That is the BIOS under those things. Then under the BIOS, which is the basic input and output system, we look at this. Since it's the first step after, you have to ensure that all the components of the computer are well and totally connected to each other. Like for example, if your computer has the UPS stabilizer, you have to make sure that all cable wires are connected to each other and they are working. That is the first step. For example, if your computer has that. Then another thing, before you starting the computer, you have to also make sure that all components are connected, then are powered on. It's the BIOS, which is the basic input and output system, that will lead to the action of the POST. POST is power on self-test. POST being the power on self-test. For this, it comes out to show and check whether all components are connected and are working totally. Once it finds that the components are not connected and are not working, and there is any problem there or configuration that is not working very well, then it starts or displaying some show up. It shows you up on the screen. For example, let's say that the mouse is the one not working. It might show you that the legacy mouse not detected. There it means that there is some problems in your connections of the mouse within within the computer system of your booting system. Then you have to make sure that you have to connect it first very well for it to continue to do what? To continue. Then under the POST, as we have said, that it checks for those and gives you the feedback. Then after that, we also continue with the POST and see that the POST retrieves information from the CMOS or the CMOS battery, that is the complementary metal oxide semiconductor, and the information it retrieves, since we also know that the CMOS battery keeps information like date and time once the computer has been turned off. So it's the POST that retrieves the information from that, and then later to be displayed onto the computer once the booting process is done. And then after that, when the BIOS sees that everything is fine, it will begin searching for an operating system or boot sector on a valid master boot sector. And I think you also see that now this one has started taking us slowly from the POST under the BIOS to the master boot record. And then after that, finding that everything is fine now, it will give instructions to the boot and execute the first byte boot sector, and that is the first, which is called the sector 0. It is also known as the sector 0 under there. Then after that, we are now going to the master boot record as the third step, as the second step from the BIOS. And this one, first of all, normally it means, or it is purposely for searching for a valid primary partition marked as like the bootable on the hard disk. After it looking at the post under the BIOS, giving instructions to the system to boot and execute. And remember, we also said that it looks for it gives the valid master boot sector. It gives we said the BIOS, under the BIOS, it's where it gives the valid master boot sector. So this master boot record, so for it comes to check and search for the valid primary partition under that, marked as the bootable on the hard disk. It is normally marked as the bootable on the hard disk. And after, for example, since we know that we have like the bootloaders like the grub, which is normally used under the Linux distributions, we also have the under the Lilo. We also have the Lilo. These ones we have said that they are used most of the times under the Linux distributions. And after all of these, the bootloader displays a menu. It's the bootloader that will display the menu of the multiple operating system and will be installed, will be installed within the computer, and it will show you for you to choose what you want, and after choosing one from that to load. This is also from the what? Remember, we started with the BIOS, which works on the post. Then we went to the master boot record, that is the MBR. Now we are going to the third. We also went to the bootloader. We looked at that. Now we are now going to the kernel. Now that on the kernel here, once you select the operating system, the bootloader here hands control over the operating system's kernel. Like the core of the operating system, so far it manages the system resources such as the CPU, memory, and devices. Here it goes ahead to initialize, like for example, the hardware components and sets up essential data structures for the booting system to also do what? Work. That is the work of the kernel. And then after the kernel, we now move to the operating system. What does the operating system do under the boot legacy? The operating system does this. After the kernel has loaded, it initializes the rest of the operating system, including the devices, the drivers, the user, the space and user space processes, all of those. It's what the operating system does. And here, this later brings the operating system into a fully functional state. A fully functional state here, I mean what? Like you can be able to interact with the user interface or the command line, depending on the operating system you do what you're using. And then after with this, the legacy boot system remains as the process of doing what? Of starting the computer, and begins with the BIOS, which then passes the control to the MBR, which is the master boot record. Remember, under BIOS we have the post, which is power on self-test. Then after that, the MBR also passes to the bootloader, and under the bootloader, it's the one that will pass to the kernel, and finally the operating system, which gives the chance for someone to choose onto what he is supposed to do, what to use as the user. Thank you very much. That has been Basim Anaboth, and I have been taking you on how to illustrate the legacy of booting process using the processes like the BIOS. As I've told you, BIOS, the MBR, that is the master boot record, that we also had the boot recorder, we went to the kernel, and lastly the operating system, which works on everything. Thank you very much. May God bless you.